Hello everyone, is Bringonthechaos Glizzy for another What If? What if Naruto is Prince of Darkness? Naruto has been chased out of the village and he has fallen off. Then he woken up on a cave and a man who has given him the power to destroy his village or make a new.
Chapter 1 The Prince of Darkness. Pain. Unbelievable amounts of pain was all Naruto felt as he lay on the hard stone cave floor trying to remain conscious whilst his injuries healed. Stupid villagers, I hope they burn in hell, muttered Naruto, weakly losing the fight to stay conscious due to the severity of his injuries. Not being able to stand the pain any longer, Naruto passed out. His last thoughts were what happened to him and how much he wanted revenge. Earlier that day, Naruto was having a great day. It was his 6th birthday and he got presents from his Gigi and the nice ramen stand owners along with others, but he didn't know who gave them to him. They were lying on his bed in the morning, all in different wrappings. One was wrapped in purple snake wrapping paper, the other had dogs, and the last had ravens. If you can't guess who they are, then God help you. Right now Naruto was sitting at home playing with his new stuff and about to get ready for bed until he heard the sound of his door being kicked and making Naruto panic. "The demon's in here!" shouted the intruder, getting shouts of anger from the mob outside his apartment. Seeing his was in danger, he tries to run over to his window to make a run for it, but was stopped by a knife going into his leg, causing him to scream, much to the pleasure of the intruder. "Ha, how do you like that, you little demon?" mocked the man, glaring at Naruto lying on the floor in the growing puddle of blood. Trying to ignore the pain in his leg, Naruto tries to crawl towards the window but was stopped by a hard kick to the spine, making Naruto cry out in pain. "You're not going anywhere, you filthy demon. We are going to be heroes by getting rid of you," shouted the man with his foot still holding down the flailing Naruto. Picking Naruto up by his small neck, the man walked over to the door, ignoring the flailing of the boy. The man threw Naruto into the awaiting crowd, making the people cheer and start the torture that would make grown men cry out in pain. Minutes of nothing but mind-numbing pain was all Naruto felt as people stabbed, clubbed him and slashed at him with smiles across all of their faces, making Naruto feel an emotion that he wasn't used to, and that was absolute rage at the people, if you could call them that. Not wanting to give them the satisfaction, Naruto willed himself not to scream bloody murder. Doing this made the attackers get bored quickly because they didn't get to hear him scream. "Boy, the demon is nearly dead. What should we do with it?" asked a fat man holding a blood socket knife in his hand and a sinister smirk on his face that was mirrored by the rest of the mob. All the mob members looked at the blood-covered Naruto, who was somehow still conscious. "I know, let's throw him in that forest that only that snake bitch goes in. I hear the animals in there are dangerous even for ninja," said a pink-haired woman, looking at Naruto with a glare. Liking the idea, the one mob member picked Naruto up by his neck and carried him to the forest of death, trying to avoid any passing ninja, but thanks to the Kyuubi festival, most were dealing with drunks and fights that the police force couldn't. Arriving at the large fence surrounding the forest, the man holding Naruto held him up to eye level. "So demon, any last words before we leave you in the forest to die?" he asked with a wide grin plastered on his face, making Naruto angrier at them all. Looking at the man that held him, something in Naruto's mind just snapped and spat the blood that gathered in his mouth at the man. "Yeah, tell your wife I can't make her next appointment. She'll need to find someone else to fuck, since anyone is obviously better in bed than her face fuck of a husband," taunted Naruto with a small smirk, seeing the man's anger at him. The man was seeing red and squeezed Naruto's neck tighter, making him nearly choke on the remaining blood in his mouth. "You little fucking demon," raged the man as he threw Naruto over the fence and into the forest, making the surrounding people cheer as they watched Naruto disappear into the darkness. Happy with their work, the mob left to go and enjoy the rest of the festival, knowing that the demon was finally gone. None of them noticed two red eyes glaring at them from the shadow of a tree. With Naruto flying through the forest, Naruto was panicking. He was going further and further into the dark forest, still bleeding from his injuries, and was barely staying awake due to blood loss, but something was keeping him awake and hopefully long enough to find a place to stay to heal and stay safe during the night. Still soaring through the air, Naruto started to lose altitude and hit a tree, nearly breaking his back at the impact. Falling towards the ground, Naruto was hit by branches, making more injuries and opining still healing ones. Naruto was still in pain, and with every branch more pain was added. With one last branch to the ground, Naruto tried to soften the landing but made a wrong move and his eye hit a branch, slashing the eye, leaving a cut from his eyebrow to the bottom of his eye and spraying more of his already low blood supply on the ground. Hitting the ground, Naruto was almost ready to just give up and die. The pain was too much to bear anymore. His organs were starting to fail, his muscles were almost destroyed, and he could not longer see out of his left eye, yet he still did not scream out in pain. He knew screaming and shouting would do nothing but attract animals to him. Even not injured, he knew he couldn't beat the animals in this forest. Using all the willpower Naruto had left, he used the tree next to him for help and stood up, holding his now useless left eye in pain. Letting go of the tree, Naruto started to slowly walk towards a small rock in the distance to use as cover for the night. End flashback. Opening his still working eye, Naruto felt better but still had felt pain all over. Ignoring it for now, Naruto looked around the cave he used for shelter and notices that there were bats hanging above his head and starting at him with what looked like amazement, freaking him out a bit. Okay, it's either I'm going insane or those bats are looking at me in amazement, Naruto said aloud, not expecting a response until he heard a voice that echoed through the cave. From what I've seen tonight, I have to say I am quite amazed as well. Not many have survived what you did, and those that do usually are never the same after, spoke the mysterious voice, making Naruto look around for the voice, much to the amusement of the voice. Where are you, who are you, and what do you want? Asked Naruto, wanting to know who this person was and where he was, still frantically looking around for the voice. Having had his fun, a man stepped out from the shadows, showing himself to Naruto, who looked scared and odd at the same time. Standing before him was a man with neck-long straight black hair and very pale skin, wearing noble attire consisting of leather riding boots, black trousers and waistcoat with a blood-red shirt and black tie. Over this was a black cloak with a high collar being held around his neck with a golden chain. To answer your question, I have gone by many names: Vlad the Impaler, Nosferatu, the No-Life King, and Alucard, but the one I was most known for was Count Dracula, the Prince of Darkness, and the reason I am here, young Naruto, is to give you a gift and a curse, answered Dracula with a small smile, looking at the gobsmacked face of Naruto. Naruto, still feeling bits of pain, tried to forget about his pain for a moment as he looked at the crimson-red eyes of Dracula, trying to see if he was lying, and found nothing but kindness in them. What gift, Dracula-san? And why would you give it to me? I'm no one important, asked Naruto, looking at the pale face of Dracula, who smiled at him. The gift I wish to give you is my blood, making you my successor and family, and as to why wouldn't I give you this gift? You deserve it after the things you have been through, but most of all you remind me of myself when I was younger and in the hands of the Turkish. I was beaten and abused for years because the Sultan was a greedy man, but like me you did not let your tortures break you and used your willpower to live and grow stronger, explained Dracula with a small hidden frown, remembering his time with the Turkish and how his treacherous and weak brother joined them and even converted to their god just to be safe, leaving him to be tortured. Shaking his head free of the memory, Dracula looks at Naruto with a smile. So Naruto, would you like to join my family and become my son? Asked Dracula, only to get tackled by Naruto, who hugs his chest and lets loose his built-up sorrow. Letting Naruto cry until he was ready to talk, Dracula looks at Naruto, who was still clinging to him. Okay Naruto, I'm going to give you my blood, all you have to do is drink, said Dracula whilst cutting his wrist, letting the crimson liquid flow out of the wound. Here, drink and become my son, the new Prince of Darkness, spoke Dracula, getting Naruto to drink his blood. He watched as Naruto almost choked on it before suddenly stopping and falling backwards towards the ground. When he wakes up, he is going to freak out at the new look and powers, Dracula spoke aloud, getting screeches of agreement from the still hanging bats. Waking up with sunlight hitting his eyes, Naruto opens his right eye and looks around the cave. Seeing no one around, he sighs to himself. I guess it was just a dream, muttered Naruto in depression, hoping to finally have a family to care for him. It was no dream, young Naruto, your new appearance should be proof of that, said the voice of Dracula, who stepped out of the shadows of the cave, making Naruto see the proud smile on his face. Looking at his new father, Naruto tilts his head in confusion at what he said. What new look? Naruto asked, not feeling that different than normal. Dracula looked at Naruto with a smile. Normal mirrors don't show vampire reflections, but this is a special one I made, said Dracula whilst waving his hand, making mirror appear in midair, showing Naruto his new appearance. Looking into the mirror, Naruto didn't recognize himself anymore, growing from 3 feet 1 to a nice 3.7. His once sun blonde hair turned ebony black with the tips a scarlet red that reached his neck. His crystal blue eyes had been replaced by scarlet red pupils, and his once whiskered, tanned baby-like face was now pale, and his baby fat had gone, leaving a chiseled and whisker-free face behind. Naruto stared at himself in the mirror in shock and awe. I look badass, shouted Naruto, liking his new look, making Dracula at his new son's reaction to his new look. Giving Naruto a couple of minutes to get used to his look, Dracula gets Naruto's attention. Naruto, I need to tell you some things about your new body and the powers that come with it, said Dracula, making Naruto look at his new father. First of all, you are now immortal. You cannot die by age or disease, and no mortal wound can kill you unless it is by silver, said Dracula, shocking Naruto at the fact he was now immortal. I know you're shocked, but there is a lot more I need to say, so listen, okay? Getting a nod, he continues, with the immortality comes a price. You must drink the blood of humans to live. By doing this, you gain their souls that you can use at your command, but that is only one of the many powers you gain from becoming a creature of the night, and I will teach you all of them, my son, said Dracula, looking at the tear-filled eyes of Naruto that made him sad and crouched down to comfort him. What is the matter, son? Is it because you have to drink blood or being immortal? Asked Dracula, worried that his new son would hate his own existence, but his worries went as Naruto smiled and hugged his father. No, it's just I never thought that anyone would want me for a son, spoke in a muffled voice with his head buried in Dracula's shoulder blade. After comforting his new son, Dracula pulls away from the hug and wipes what remaining tears are in Naruto's eyes. Son, we are going to go away from this village for a while to train, but don't worry, we will return to see what few people that cared about you when no others did, said Dracula, ruffling Naruto's hair, getting Naruto from Naruto. Remember these words, son, only care for those that have seen you at your worst and still stood by your side. That is how you know a true friend, and when you have true friends, you have something worth protecting. That is when you are at your strongest, said Dracula in a sage-like manner, making Naruto look in awe at his father and promising to live by those words. Okay, son, I'm going to talk to your, what did you call him again? Gigi, was it? Asked Dracula, receiving a nod. He carries on. Yes, I'm going to talk to your Gigi and tell him that you will not be returning for a long time, so please wait here and I will pick you up and we shall begin our travels and start your training, said Dracula, who stepped into the shadows and disappeared. My 2-san is awesome, whispered Naruto to himself, but getting a screech of agreement from the bats in the cave. Hokage office. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the current Hokage of Konoha, was passing around the room in worry as he waited for Anbu to locate his missing grandson Naruto Uzumaki that has been missing since last night, and the only clues to what happened was his half-destroyed apartment and blood splatters that stained the floor of the pavement outside his home. Please, Naruto-kun, be okay. I don't think my old heart could take losing you, whispered aloud as he continued to wait for the report of the Anbu until a swirl of leaves appeared in his office, revealing a team of Anbu that all kneeled down. Report, Inu. Have you found any sign of Naruto-kun? Asked the Hokage with hope in his voice, only for he'd hoped to be smashed as he saw the sad look in Inu's eyes. I'm sorry, Hokage-sama, but the only clue we have seen is a blood trail leading to the forest of death that stops just before the gate, answered Inu with guilt in his voice at not finding the boy. Lowering his hat so the Anbu didn't see the tears build up in his eyes. Very well, Inu, continue the search, auntie, but was cut off by a cold chuckle that echoed through the room, sending chills down all their spines. That will not be necessary. I know where young Naruto-kun is and he is very safe, well safer than in this village, spoke the voice, making the Hokage and Inu start shouting, what have you done with Naruto? shouted Inu, glaring around the room trying to locate the voice. Me. You ask what I've done to him? I saved his life after the brutal torture that he went through. If it wasn't for me, Naruto would be being digested by the creatures of the forest by now, spoke the voice with enough venom in his voice to make Inu and Hiruzen flinch. Please, we just want to know if Naruto-kun is safe, so please, is he safe? Asked the Hokage in desperation, ignoring the shocked looks from the Anbu as he was practically begging to know about Naruto. Very well, spoke the voice as a man stepped out of the shadows, making the occupants of the room tense at the sight of his crimson eyes. Let us talk then, said Dracula, looking at the Hokage with a serious look. Getting over his shock, Hiruzen takes his seat at his desk and motions for Dracula to take his seat as well. What has happened to Naruto-kun, mister? Asked Hiruzen with worry evident in his voice that made Dracula happy that someone cared for his son even if he failed to protect him. You may address me as Dracula, but back to Naruto. He was brutally beaten and was thrown into the forest of death by some civilians and a couple of your ninja, said Dracula with a look that would make a bougie shit himself. Hiruzen was seeing red at what he heard. His own ninja had attacked a child and left them for dead. Trying to suppress his rage, Hiruzen looked at his Anbu. Find the two that attacked Naruto and bring them to me, ordered Hiruzen with a voice that sent shivers of fear down their spines. Not wanting to anger him more, the squad minus Inu left in a shunshin to find the culprits. Looking at Dracula, Hiruzen with rage still in his eyes. Now what have you done with Naruto-kun? Demanded Hiruzen with rage still present in his voice that made Dracula smirk. I have saved Naruto's life. If I hadn't come along, Naruto would be dead in a cave, and even by some miracle he did live. He couldn't become a ninja. With left eye was slashed out and his back was almost shattered along with most of his bones, answered Dracula, looking at the now pale face of Hiruzen. If what you say is true, then I thank you for saving him, but we need to know where he is so that we can get him to a hospital to be checked up, said Hiruzen, silently thanking Kami that Naruto was still alive, but stopped it when Dracula spoke. I cannot do that as Naruto will be coming with me, said Dracula softly, but to the two other occupants it was like a shout. What? Both Inu and Hiruzen exclaimed in shock at what Dracula had just said to them. As I said, Naruto will be coming with me to train and with his new powers and to be safe whilst training, said Dracula, making the two other occupants of the room glare at him. And what makes you think that we will just let you walk away with Naruto? Said Inu, glaring at Dracula much to his amusement. You speak as if you have a choice in the matter. Naruto has been adopted into my family, so you have no say in the matter, answered Dracula with a smirk at seeing the wide-eyed looks of the Anbu and Hiruzen. What have you done? Demanded Hiruzen, glaring at Dracula. I saved his life and gave him something he longed for, a family, something that none in this village did in the 6 years he has been here, said Dracula with venom that made the two lower their heads in shame as the words he spoke were true. Now I plan on taking my son to train and will return in, let's say, 10 years to see if he wishes to stay in this village or leave it behind, said Dracula, making the duo's head snap up and look at Dracula with hope in their eyes. So you would let Naruto choose to come back here if he wished? Asked Hiruzen, getting a nod from Dracula that brought a smile to the Hokage's face. Very well, but before you go I will give you something to teach Naruto, like how to use chakra and some training books, said Hiruzen, getting a small smile from Dracula, who stood up with Hiruzen and gathered the material for Naruto to learn. 5 minutes later. With the material sealed away, Dracula said his farewells to the two and walked into the shadows and vanished, leave to two gobsmacked. Naruto is going to be strong when he returns, said Inu, getting a nod of agreement from Hiruzen. The two sat in silence as the thought of what Naruto would be like once he returned, but were stopped by the arrival of the Anbu team with two tied-up ninja, one being Mizuki and the other being his own son Asuma Sarutobi. We have found the culprits, so they have even admitted to it. Take them away, I will deal with them later, ordered Hiruzen, looking at Asuma with disappointment and disgust that made his son lower his head, not being able to look his father in the eyes. With Dracula appearing in the cave, Dracula found Naruto talking to the bats that lived in the cave. Take my hand, son, we are leaving, said Dracula, getting Naruto attention, and turned to see his father and smiled at him. Okay dad, let's go, said Naruto, taking the offered hand, vanishing from the spot not to be seen in the village for the next 10 years. Sitting at the village gates were the eternal gate guards Izumo and Kotetsu, passing the time with some small talk. So do you think anyone important is going to turn up today? Asked Izumo, hoping for something exciting to happen since watching the gate all day would bore you more than being an accountant. Not sure, but we will have to wait and see, answered Kotetsu with a shrug, not really caring who turned up since most likely no one would. Staring at his friend with a look of annoyance, "Oh come on Kotetsu, at least guess we have nothing better to do whilst sitting here," argued Izumo, making Kotetsu sigh at his friend in annoyance. "What's the point? We have seen plenty of people coming back to Konoha these past few years. What is one more person?" said Kotetsu, making his partner turn away in annoyance only to see a small figure in the distance getting closer and closer, allowing him to see who it was. Walking towards the gates of Konoha was a man about 6 feet, with shoulder-length black and red hair swaying in the wind, dressed in a business attire that consisted of black polished dress boots, black trousers and a matching waistcoat worn over a dark purple dress shirt with the top 2 buttons undone and the sleeves rolled up to his elbows. Over this he had a black cloak that was held together by a golden chain at the top. As the man got closer, the 2 guards tense at the sight of his eyes. They were crimson like blood. Now standing in front of the guards, he speaks with a regal voice. "I would like to enter the village," said the man, making Izumo pull out a clipboard to write down his information. "Okay, but we need your name," said Izumo, making the man tense for a millisecond, something the 2 guards didn't catch. "My name is Naruto Dracula, formerly Naruto Uzumaki," said the now identified Naruto, making the 2 guards look at him in shock. "Naruto, is that really you?" asked Izumo in disbelief, not believing that this man was the once small orange-wearing prankster. Seeing the looks of disbelief, Naruto thinks for a moment and smiles. "I'll prove it. Remember that time I found you 2 drunk after work, and when I followed you and watched as you 2 started key," was as far as he got as the hand of the blushing Kotetsu was on his mouth. "Okay, I believe it's you, and never tell anyone that we would die from embarrassment or our wives killing us," said a still blushing Kotetsu, making Naruto smirk at having blackmail material on the 2. "Anyway, can I go in the village now? I want to see the old man before I go," asked Naruto, getting a nod. Naruto started to head into the village only to turn and look at the 2 again. "Also, I know you get bored, so I'll give you these to pass the time," said Naruto, throwing them a small box, and started to walk into the village. "What did he give you?" asked Izumo, wanting to know what they could do to get rid of the board. Looking at the box in Kotetsu's hand, the duo blush. Naruto had give them a box of condoms and a small note. "Don't waste them all at once, also they are flavored, so pick a flavor and get to it." "I hate that kid," muttered the 2 as they sat down again and waited for the next visitor. With Naruto walking through the village, Naruto was drawing women to him like a moth to a flame. Everywhere he looked, women were looking at him with lust and men in jealousy. Ignoring the looks, Naruto walks to the Hokage Tower. Arriving at the building, Naruto was about to enter only to be stopped by a pair of Anbu. "No civilians that do not work here may not enter," said the monkey-masked Anbu, making Naruto sigh in annoyance with a wave of his hand and muttering a few words. The 2 guards moved aside, letting him pass. "I'm sorry for the inconvenience, sir, it won't happen again," said the wolf Anbu like he was in a trance. Giving a nod at the 2, Naruto continued up the stairs and stopped in front of the Hokage's office, about to enter only to be stopped by the blushing secretary. "I'm sorry sir, but the Hokage is attending a meeting at the moment and won't return for another hour," said the secretary, still blushing at Naruto, making him simile. "Oh, and where would this meeting be?" asked Naruto, hoping to give some of the council heart attacks. "I'm sorry sir, I can't say," said the secretary with a sigh. Naruto waves his hand at the women, making her eyes go glassy. "I'll ask again, where is the meeting?" asked Naruto, inwardly thinking, "I'm sighing a lot lately." Shaking his head, he looks at the women waiting for an answer. "It is being held on the 3rd floor on this building," answered the women in a trance-like voice. Thanking the women, Naruto steps into the shadows and disappears. Council meeting. Sitting in the large room were the Hokage and his advisors, the civilian council and the clan heads talking about the state of the village until one council member decided to say something stupid. "This village is doing so much better since that demon brat was killed," said a flat slob of a man, making the other civilians agree and the clan heads and advisors groan in annoyance. "Why do you have to bring him up? You got what you wanted. A young boy died because of idiots like you," growled out Sum, making the other clan heads agree but one. Looking at the clan heads in rage, a pink-haired woman speaks with a smirk, "If he was just a young bot, then why does Uzumaki-sama agree with us?" asked the women, making the clan heads turn to the Uzumaki seat and see their one-time friend Kushina Uzumaki sitting there with a sneer. "Don't look at me like that, he was a demon and I'm glad he is dead," exclaimed Kushina, making the clan heads, the advisors and the Hokage look at her in disgust and rage. Hiruzen was about to speak until a cold laugh echoed around the room, sending shivers down all their spines and brining back memories for Hiruzen. "Ha ha ha ha, if he was a demon, you are a hypocrite, Kushina-san, as I do believe that you too once held the Kyuubi, did you not?" asked the voice, making Kushina turn red from anger. "Show yourself," shouted out Kushina in rage at what the voice said, but her rage only made the voice laugh more. "Ha ha ha, if you think you can order me around, Kushina-san, then you are sadly mistaken, but to get this meeting over with I will come out," said the voice, only for a man to start floating out of the ground, shocking those in the room and making the women blush at the sight of him, even Kushina, though she tried to hide it. Hiruzen was looking at the man with wide eyes, not believing who it was. "Is that you, Dracula?" asked Hiruzen, making the occupants of the room minus Naruto wonder who he was talking about. "Sorry, old man, I am not my father," answered Naruto, making the Hokage's jaw drop and not able to speak, making Naruto smile. "Well, since he know who I am, I may as well introduce myself. My name is Naruto Dracula, formerly known as Naruto Uzumaki," said Naruto with a bow towards the shocked council. Everyone in the room looked at Naruto in shock, none more than Kushina, as she looked into the red eyes of Naruto and shivered at the sight of them, making him smile and her glare at him with hate and rage. "So you have returned, demon, trying to ruin more lives?" sneered Kushina, making Naruto smile at her. That made her fight back a blush. "I don't know why you think of me as a demon, Kushina-san, but I can assure you I am not ever will be a demon," said Naruto, still smiling. Kushina felt a pang in her heart as he called her by her name, brushing it. "If she continues to glare at Naruto, I don't think you're a demon. I know you are. The minute the Kyuubi was sealed inside you, you became one," shouted Kushina, making Naruto look at her in confusion. "But didn't you have the Kyuubi sealed in you at one point?" asked Naruto, making the council look at her for an explanation. "I had a different seal to you and I was older, so I could hold back a demon when you were a baby," said Kushina, but in her mind a voice kept telling her she was wrong. Looking at her for a moment, Naruto takes off his cloak and waistcoat and starts unbuttoning his shirt, making women blush. "What are you doing?" exclaimed Kushina with a blush at seeing his muscles. "Well, you said that I was a demon for what I contained, but I want to show you all something," said Naruto, pumping chakra to where his seal should be, and nothing can up, making everyone gasp in shock. "As you can see, I have no seal, nor do I have demonic chakra, so please tell me, Kushina-san, how am I a demon?" asked Naruto, looking at the wide-eyed Kushina, who looked ready to break down and cry. Putting his clothes back on, much to the women's disappointment, Naruto looks at the Hokage with a smile. "It has been a long time, huh, old man?" said Naruto, making Hiruzen smile at his surrogate grandson. "Yes, it has, Naruto-kun, but we will catch up later. For now, please explain why you no longer contain the Kyuubi," asked the Hokage, making Naruto sigh at having to explain. "Well, long story short, I let her go," answered Naruto, making everyone in the room shout, "Nani?" Every member of the council was sitting in shock at what Naruto had just told them, except Kushina, who looked ready to break down and cry. "And Naruto, are you serious?" asked Hiruzen, scared that the Kyuubi would come back and destroy the village. "Yes, I released her about 5 years ago after an incident," answered Naruto, making them all pale at the thought of the Kyuubi being free for that long and them not knowing about it. "What incident would that be?" Asked Hiruzen, hoping to learn about the things that happened to Naruto, but frowned when he saw the sad look on Naruto's face along with a single tear that fell from his eye, making the room go wide-eyed, not accepting him to cry. I would rather not talk about it, old man, whispered Naruto, wiping the lone tear away, and started to walk towards the door, much to everyone's confusion. Naruto-kun, where are you going? Asked Hiruzen, making Naruto turn and look at him with his own confusion. Well, I'm going to find a hotel for and visit some people, answered Naruto, making Hiruzen smile. Don't worry about that, my boy, we'll find you a place to live and get you settled in, Hiruzen said, much to Naruto's confusion. I'm not staying in the village for long, probably a week at most, I'm going, so don't bother with finding me a place to live, said Naruto, making Hiruzen and the council go wide-eyed. What, you can't leave? Shouted Kushina in protest, making Naruto look at her with a glare, making her flinch. And what say do you have in what I do? Said Naruto, making Kushina glare back at him. I'm your mother and I order you to stay in this village and live with me and your sister, demanded Kushina with a smirk, thinking she had won, but the smirk when Naruto started to laugh darkly, sending shivers down the council's spine. Ha 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 ha, you think after leaving me to the wolves that I would still think of you as a mother? You're nothing, tome women, said Naruto, glaring at Kushina, who looked saddened at what he said. I want to make it up to you, said Kushina, barely above a whisper, but everyone heard it. Why would I forgive you? Asked Naruto, generally interested in her response. Because I'm your mother, you have too, said Kushina, making Naruto glare at her more. I will say it again, you are nothing to me, like the bugs beneath my feet, Naruto said darkly as he started to walk out of the room, making Kushina let loose tears but still glaring at his back for not listening to her. Naruto Uzumaki, you will stay in this village and you will forgive me, ordered Kushina in desperation, but watched as Naruto disappeared in a blink and she felt a hand hold her by her neck, much to the shock of everyone, even the Hokage. I didn't even see him move, were the thought of everyone in the room. My name is Naruto Dracula, you are nothing to me and will never be a mother to me, and the funny thing is you have only yourself to blame, whispered Naruto into her ear, making her let loose more tears from the pain of what he said. Dropping her to the ground, Naruto heads towards the door, but Hiruzen speaks up. Naruto, why won't you stay in the village? Asked Hiruzen, already knowing the answer but wanted to make sure. Why would I defend a village that has done nothing but torture me since I was born? The civilians beat me and I couldn't buy food. The ninja were no better, watching and cheering as people beat me to near death. I believe your own son was responsible for my near death, was he not? Asked Naruto, making the Hokage hold his head low in shame as he could only nod. See, I nothing but painful memories here, so why should I stay? Asked Naruto, making the clan heads lower the heads in shame, as well as they knew he was right, but the civilians sneered at him. You deserved it, you were a demon and I think you still are, shouted a pink-haired man, pulling out a kunai and throw it at Naruto, but Naruto didn't see the point in dodging, so he took the kunai to the head, much to everyone's horror, apart from the civilians, but to the council's shock, Naruto didn't fall dead, he just stood there with a look of annoyance. The room was silent, everyone still in shock at what had happened, but what happened next almost gave them all heart attacks. Naruto's arm moved and pulled out the kunai and twirled it round his finger. You shouldn't have done that, Naruto muttered darkly as his disappeared and appeared behind the man and biting down on his neck and sucking his blood, turning the man into a dried mummy in seconds. Finished with his short meal, Naruto lets the dead man fall to the ground and wipes the leftover blood on his lips away and looks at the corpse. Foolish man, I'm not demon, I'm much worse, I am a monster, Naruto said with a dark tone. Walking back into the center of the room, Naruto looks at the pale and wide-eyed faces of the council. You see, old man, even when the evidence is clear, people still deny the truth. As I accepted they would, humans are both stupid and ignorant, said Naruto, making a few mentally agree with him but most angry at him, but wouldn't voice it due to fear. As Naruto began to walk out the door, Kushina ran up to him and hugged him from behind, making everyone gasp and hold their breath, worried for her safety. Please don't go, Naruto, I want to make things right, whispered Kushina, hoping to Naruto to forgive her past actions. So you want forgiveness because you feel sorry for what you have done? Making Kushina nod, still holding onto him. If you had spent years in torment for what you have done, I would have forgive you, but before I showed everyone I wasn't a demon, you were happy that I was dead, so why would I stay here with people who hate and despise me for something I had nothing to do with? Naruto said back harshly, breaking free from the Kushina, who collapsed and broke down in tears as she watched Naruto leave the council room. Seeing the meeting was over, Hiruzen stood up. I hope everyone in this room is proud of what has happened here today. We are all to blame for what happened to Naruto, said Hiruzen before walking out, leaving a room of saddened, angry and broken people. With Naruto. As soon as Naruto left the council meeting, he headed towards his favorite place in the village, the Ichiraku ramen stand, where he got most of his meals as a child, got to spend time with people who cared about him. As he walked, Naruto drew attention like a moth to a flame. Women kept looking at him with lust and men with jealousy trying to ignore the looks. He kept on walking, not caring about them. Ichiraku ramen stand. Sitting at the ramen stand was a red-haired girl eating her way through her 8th bowl of ramen, and a chunin who was holding his wallet with anime tears falling down his face, much to the amusement of Ayame and Tuki. Naruko, I think that enough ramen for now, said Ayame, making Naruko pout childishly by agree with her. The four sat there talking until the flaps of the stand moved, revealing Naruto. Not going to bother describing him again, he looks the same as earlier, making Ayame, Naruko blush at the sight of him, and Aruka and Tuki smiled at the girl's reaction to him. Could I have a bowl of miso ramen please? Asked Naruto, removing his cloak and taking a seat at the far end of the counter, much to Naruko's disappointment. Of course, said Tuki as he started to make his new customers ramen. Thank you, I haven't had ramen since my father took me for training, said Naruto, making Ayame look at him weirdly. Why didn't he like you eating ramen? Asked Naruto, making him smile slightly. No, but I didn't see the point, as no ramen compared to what I ate as a child, answered Naruto, making Naruko, who was listening to the conversation, speak. So why are you eating here then? She asked with a confused look on her face. Well, I was born here in Konoha, but I left about 10 years ago, but stopped as Tuki dropped a bowl on the floor, making it smash. Dad, what happened? Asked Ayame in worry, but Tuki didn't answer. He just looked at Naruto with wide eyes. What is your name? Asked Tuki, making Naruko and Aruka look at Naruto, waiting for an answer. Naruto smiles at the man. It's been a long time, huh, old man, said Naruto, making Ayame's eyes widen for Tuki, Ayame to pull Naruto into a hug, which he gladly returned. Hey, you never said who you are, exclaimed Naruko, wanting to know who this man was. Getting out of the hug, Naruto looks at Naruko and speaks. My name is Naruto Dracula, formerly Naruto Uzumaki, your ex-twin brother, answered Naruto, shocking everyone at the stand and those passing by that heard. Ichiraku ramen stand. Naruko and the others looked at Naruto in shock at what he had just told them, but was quickly replaced by anger and hate by Naruko. So you're the demon Ka-chan told me about, sneered Naruko, shocking the others but Naruto at her attitude towards a member of her family. I should have expected the idiocy of your mother would be passed down to you. How disappointing, I expected more from you, said Naruto, shaking his head in disappointment at his former sister, making her glare at him and tighten hands in anger. Ignoring her obvious anger and everyone else's shock, Naruto sits down again and smiles at Tuki. Now with introductions finished, may I have my ramen now? Asked Naruto, making Tuki turn around to dish up Naruto's ramen. Naruko watched as, the demon, with hate and disgust, and Tuki and Ayame in confusion. How can those two be so happy to see the demon? They should hate him, so why? Thought Naruko, still glaring at him as he laughed and talked to Ayame and Tuki, completely ignoring her until she finally snapped in anger and annoyance. Why are you two being so friendly with the demon? You should hate him, not laugh and talk like old friends. Exclaimed Naruko, making Tuki and Ayame glare at her warningly. Naruto, I don't care if you are one of my best customers, I will ban you for life if you call him that one more time, said Tuki with Ayame nodding in agreement, making Naruto go wide-eyed at what he just said. Even Iruka was shocked since Naruto was their best customer. There is no need for that, Tuki. Ayame, she may call me that if she wants, even if she is being stupid and ignorant, said Naruto, making Naruto glare at him with more hatred than before. This is your fault, shouted Naruto, pulling out a kunai and throwing it at Naruto, stabbing him in the throat, spraying blood over the stand and on the shocked faces of the four. Naruto stood there with her shaking arms still extended from the throw and blood splattered across her face, staring at Naruto's body with a shocked look on her face until Iruka started shaking her and shouting, "Naruto, what have you done?" exclaimed Iruka in anger, still shaking her, whilst Tuki was holding the crying Ayame with his own tears falling from his eyes. But all stopped as they heard someone speak. "I know that I won't die from things like that, but I should dodge more," said Naruto, lifting himself from the counter and pulling the kunai from his throat and healing seconds later. Turning to the shocked group, Naruto walks over to the frozen four and hands the kunai back to Naruto and leans to her ear. "I wouldn't do that again if I were you. Sometimes I can't control myself when I'm attacked," whispered Naruto as he walked back to his seat, only to be tackled by Ayame, who started to hit him. "You stupid baka," shouted Ayame over and get quieter and quieter every time until it was barely above a whisper. "Sorry Ayame, I didn't mean to scare you," whispered Naruto, making Ayame calm down and release him from the hug and wiping her remaining tears away. "Just don't do it again," said Ayame before she turned and glared at Naruto. "And you, I don't care if you're our best customer, you're banned from here from now on," said Ayame, making Naruto lower her head and walk away from the stand, followed by Iruka, but not before apologizing to Naruto and the others. Seeing the tense atmosphere, Naruto takes his seat once again and starts talking about what he has been up to the past 10 years, but leaving out some things that they don't need to know. With Naruto and Iruka walking down the road in silence towards the Uzumaki estate, Iruka looked at Naruto with worry. "Are you okay, Naruto?" asked Iruka, already knowing she was a wreck at the moment after losing some of her closest friend. "Iruka-sensei, I need to go and talk to Ka-chan," said Naruto barely above a whisper, nodding his head. Iruka jumps to the rooftops and towards the academy to mark some papers. Continuing her walk towards the estate, Naruto looks around at some of the buildings and sees an old and run-down apartment. Knowing who used to live there, she sneers and starts to walk away until she hears someone quietly crying in the apartment. Curiosity getting the better of her, Naruto walks over and climbs the decaying stairs, only to lay her eyes on her mother crying whilst holding what looked like an old piece of paper. "Ka-chan, what's wrong?" said Naruto, running over and embracing her mother in a hug, letting her cry on her shoulder, only for her to pull out the hug and look at Naruto in guilt and sorrow. "I don't deserve your concern, Naruto-chan. I'm a terrible person and a horrible mother," said Kushina between sobs, making Naruto go wide-eyed, only for them to narrow. "Did that demon do something to you? I swear if he did." But was cut off by a hard slap to the face by an angry Kushina. "Don't call him that," shouted Kushina, surprising Naruto at her mother's sudden change of heart. "But Ka-chan, you call him that all the time. What has changed now he's back?" asked Naruto, holding her swelling cheek. "I found out I was wrong. I was so wrong, and now I'm paying the price for it," said Kushina, lowering her head in shame and handing the paper to Naruto to read. Diary entry 44. "I hate this place. Even on my birthday I get beaten. Whatever did I do to deserve this? I was nice to the orphanage owner only for her to kick me out as soon as I turned 3, but even before then she barely looked after me. She would lock me in the basement for days without food or water, only saying that a demon doesn't deserve human things. I wish I knew what she meant, but whenever I asked she would hit me and told me not to mock her. But now even out of that place I barely get any food, and even then it's mostly expired. Hopefully Gigi comes and takes me out for ramen soon." After finishing the small entry, Naruto had tears in her eyes. "Oh, Kamika-chan, he had it terrible," whispered Naruto, making Kushina nod in agreement. "I know, Naruto-chan, I know, but we can try and make it up to him before he leaves again," said Kushina, making Naruto look confused. "But he just go here. Why would he leave? Does he have a mission?" Asked Naruto, making Kushina look at her sadly. No, Naruto-chan, he isn't staying at the village, he only came to visit a few people and will leave in about a week, answered Kushina, making Naruto go wide-eyed in shock. What, he can't do that, we have to stop him, exclaimed Naruto, making Kushina glare at her a little. You don't think I didn't try to make him stay, he thinks of me as less than dirt, Kushina said, making both Naruto and Kushina try and think of ways to get Naruto to stay or at least forgive them. With Naruto. After catching up with Ayame and Tuki, Naruto takes a slow walk towards the Hokage Tower, still ignoring the looks he was getting from the men and women. Almost reaching He Tower, Naruto hears noises coming from a nearby alleyway. Curiosity taking over, Naruto walks towards the alleyway and what he sees making his blood boil. 5 minutes earlier. Enko Mitarashi was having a terrible day. First, her alarm clock went off late, making her late to interrogate someone, and even after begging Ibaka to let her interrogate them, the bastard went and died halfway through. So after that failure, she decided to go to the nearest bar to drink the rest of the day in peace, only to be interrupted by a group of male civilians. Oi, snake bitch, I hope you like that drink, said the leader with a smirk, making Enko wide-eyed and for her to look at her hands only to find her vision fuzzy and her arms not moving, making her wide-eyed. How did I not taste the poison? Enko mentally said, but forgetting it for now, she looked around at the bar hoping for some help, only to find the rest smirking at her, making her glare at them all, only for her fear to worsen as the leader of the group dragged her by the hair into the alley and threw her against the wall. Now, snake bitch, we are going to have some fun with you, said the man, getting cheers from the rest, making Enko mentally cry for help. Back to current time. Staring to undo their trousers, the light from the entrance of the alley was blocked by the stiletto of a man. Oi, I don't know who you are, but leave and we might save you a turn, said the leader, expecting the man to walk away only to find himself being hoisted from the ground by the neck. The man, you disgust me, said Naruto, snapping the man's neck with a flick of his wrist and dropping him to the ground with a thud. Seeing their leader being killed with ease, they tried to run only to be blocked by a wall of shadows. You, my sorry excuse for human being won't be going anywhere, said Naruto before snapping his fingers, turning the wall of shadows into a flock of bats that attacked the men, killing them easily. Seeing the men were dead, Naruto walks over to the scared Enko, who was still lying against the wall. Are you okay? Asked Naruto with concern in his voice, surprising her at his concern. Not begin able to talk, she nods, making him smile slightly, but seeing as was unable to move, Naruto picks her up princess style, making her blush, but unable to protest. Naruto heads towards the hospital only to be stopped by a group of Anbu. The Hokage has requested you presence, said the rat-masked Anbu, making Naruto glare at the man. And where were you when this woman was in danger not seconds ago? Asked Naruto, making the rat Anbu sneer. It was only the snake bitch, why would anyone care about her? Sneered the rat Anbu, making Naruto glare at him more. I would appreciate you not calling her that, Anbu-san, or I will not be held responsible for what happens to you, warned Naruto, making the other two wide-eyed at how protective Naruto was being, but that is all, she is a snake bit. Was as far as the Anbu got as Naruto slashed his throat with his clawed hand, making Enko go wide-eyed. Well then, Purple-chan, let's go and see the old man, the poison should wear off soon anyway, said Naruto as he started walking towards the Hokage office, once again still holding Enko princess style, getting glares of jealousy from the men and women as they walked. Hokage Tower. Still holding the blushing Enko in his arms, Naruto walks through the Hokage Tower and heads towards the Hokage's office, completely ignoring the shouts from the secretary to stop. He kicks the door down and walks in to see the Hokage and a white-haired man standing in defensive stances, not knowing who he was until Hiruzen recognized Naruto but eyed him carefully, seeing Enko in his arms and a pissed off look on his face. Oh, Naruto-kun, is see my Anbu found you, but where is he? I ordered him to escort you here, and what is Enko-chan doing here? Asked Hiruzen, lowering his stance and taking his seat behind his desk, looking at Enko in worry. Naruto looked at the Hokage with a glare, making the white-haired man look at him with caution. Old man, please tell me why I had to save this kunoichi from being raped in an alley less than a mile away. Asked Naruto, shocking the two men in the room. What? Both men shouted whilst subconsciously releasing K. I in anger but stopped when Naruto's released his own K. I making the two men pale and sending a shiver down Enko's spine, and to answer your earlier question your Anbu is dead along with those you tried to rape Purple-chan, said Naruto making the white-haired man glare at Naruto. I know you were pissed but that is no reason to kill innocent Anbu. Exclaimed the white-haired man glaring at Naruto until Naruto's K. I increased making the white-haired man fall to his knees struggling to breath. Innocent Anbuha, that man deserved to die. He was watching the group that tried to rape Purple-chan and after I saved her he had the balls to try and taunt her whilst in my presence, said Naruto with venom still releasing K. I but directing is more towards the white-haired man. Hiruzen was speechless at what had happened to Anko and more so at the amount of K. That Naruto was releasing even directed at Jiraiya. He had to try and stop his hands from shaking. Naruto, I think Jiraiya has learnt his lesson, please stop the K. I pleased Hiruzen, not wanting to see his student in such a state. Naruto, not hearing Hiruzen or choosing to ignore him, continued releasing his K. I at the now named Jiraiya, almost making the man pass out from it but stopped when the women in his arm tugged on his shirt getting his attention. Please stop Naruto-kun, whispered Anko making Naruto stop releasing his K. I at the man How was still on the floor gasping for breath. Thank you, Anko whispered in gratitude causing Naruto to smile at the women. After checking his student was okay, Hiruzen looks at Naruto. Okay Naruto-kun, tell me what happened, said Hiruzen making Naruto sigh but sits down to get comfortable for the long story along with placing a blushing Anko in his lap much to the amusement of Hiruzen. Well, after I left the council room. And then I came in here, kicked the door down and we started talking, said Naruto finishing his short tale looking at the angry face of Hiruzen and Jiraiya. Hiruzen, Jiraiya and Anko were all shocked at what happened to Naruto in the short time he had been back in the village, being attacked 3 different times and saving a damsel in distress. Well, you have been very active during your stay, Naruto, and would you like to press charges for Naruto's attack? Asked Hiruzen, expecting a yes but was surprised by Naruto's response. No, but I ask for the Uzumaki family to be kept away from me during my stay, answered Naruto making Anko wide-eyed and subconsciously lean closer to Naruto's chest at hearing that her savior was leaving soon. Jiraiya, not having been in the council meeting, looked at Naruto in confusion. What do you mean leaving? You just got here, why would you leave? Asked Jiraiya, not sure why his godson, not that he knows, would leave. Looking at Jiraiya in annoyance, I'd have to explain his reasons again. I will not be staying in this village for more than a week, then I will be gone, answered Naruto making Jiraiya look at him like he was crazy. Why would you leave? Your family is here and I would like to spend some time with my godson, asked Jiraiya making Naruto glare at him. No, I have no family here and I don't care if you were my godfather. You had your chance to spend time with me when I needed it, but let me guess, you had responsibilities or you were afraid I was a demon like Kushina-san, answered Naruto with enough venom in his voice to kill Orochimaru. Jiraiya and Anko looked at Naruto in shock but at what he had just said, whilst Hiruzen looked saddened by it. Getting out of his shock, Jiraiya glared at Naruto. I had my reasons not to come and see you. I had to look after my spy network and I would never think of you as a demon. I'm a seal master. I know the difference between a prison and what it holds, said Jiraiya, a little hurt of what Naruto said to him. Yes, of course your spy network is so important, yet you still find the time to write those perverted books you're so proud of, and it doesn't matter if you're a seal master. So was Kushina-san and look how she treated me, said Naruto making Jiraiya lower his head in shame knowing he was right. Seeing his student become depressed, Hiruzen speaks. Anyway Naruto-kun, I need to talk to you about some things, so please let Anko-chan up so she can leave, said the Hokage, only getting Naruto to glare at him. I won't leave her after she just went through a traumatic experience. Also, in case you forgot, she has been poisoned, so if you have something to say, speak up or I will go and take Purple-chan to the hospital, warned Naruto making Hiruzen sigh but nod in agreement. Very well, but what is said in this room is an S-class secret under penalty of death, is that clear, Anko? Asked Hiruzen, only getting a small nod. He continued, good, now on to the subject at hand. What will it take for you to stay in the village, Naruto? Asked Hiruzen, shocking Naruto a little at the question. You have nothing I want, old man, answered Naruto, making Hiruzen silently pray he would be forgiven for what he was about to do. Naruto, if you stay I will tell you about your father, said Hiruzen, making Naruto lower his with his hair shadowing his eyes. Why you? Stuttered out Naruto, making Hiruzen smile sadly at him and mentally hit himself at what he had done. You dare! Shouted Naruto in rage, lifting his head, showing his elongated fangs and angry crimson eyes. You dare, old man, trying to use my own heritage against me. I will tell you this once and once only. I only have one father. His name was Vlad Dracula. He raised me, he feed me and cared for me when none other did. He is more family to me than anyone else and nothing will change that, said Naruto, releasing half his K. I making Hiruzen ail and struggle to breath. Stopping his K. I allowing Hiruzen to breath. Naruto looks at Hiruzen with disappointment. Hiruzen, you were the last person I trusted in this village and this is what you do with that trust. I'm disappointed and angry at you, said Naruto, shaking his head, making Hiruzen lower his in shame and guilt. Standing up with Anko in his arms once again, Naruto heads towards the door but looks back at the depressed pair. I will come back later and talk to you about other matters that Purple-chan doesn't need to hear, and she needs to get this poison out of her system, so for now good day Hiruzen-san. Jiraiya-san, said Naruto before walking out the door, only to disappear afterwards, shocking the secretary. We fucked up, sensei, muttered Jiraiya, getting a sad nod of agreement from his teacher. With Naruto appearing outside the hospital with a shocked Anko, he lets her down to walk on her own, much to her disappointment. I know that the poison has worn off by now, so I'll see you later, Purple-chan, said Naruto, who started to walk away only to have her jump on his back. Oh no, you're not going anywhere, not until you take me to have some dango and explain who the hell you are, said Anko, pressing her cleavage onto his back, making him blush a little. Very well, Purple-chan, lead the way, said Naruto, only to get her to shake her head. Nope, you get the privilege of giving the great Anko-sama a lift, said Anko proudly, making Naruto chuckle at her antics. Very well, oh powerful Anko-sama, tell me the way to go, said Naruto sarcastically, making her giggle as she pointed the way for him to go. After the short walk to the dango bar, Anko jumped of Naruto's back and ran into the bar like a child in a candy shop. Walking in after her, he sees her sitting with a black-haired woman. Oi Naruto, come here and meet Nai-chan, shouted Anko from across the room, making everyone look at him, some with lust and others in jealousy. Walking over to the table, Naruto took a seat next to Anko and across from her now blushing friend. So Purple-chan, what did you want to talk about? Asked Naruto, making Anko and the women curious at the nickname. Yeah, for one, what's with calling me that? Asked Anko, making Naruto shrug. I didn't know your name, so I had to call you something and now it has kinda stuck, answered Naruto honestly, making Anko's eye twitch and the other women to giggle. So any more questions before I go and talk to Hiruzen-san? Asked Naruto, making Anko glare at him. Yes, I have more questions, so you can sit there and answer them, or I can hunt you down, tie you up with my snakes and make you answer your choice, really, said Anko whilst pulling out a kunai and licking the blade seductively, still looking Naruto in the eyes. Naruto looked at Anko with a smirk before sinking into the chair and through the floor, shocking the two. Well then, Purple-chan, let the chase begin, said the voice of Naruto echoing through the bar. Looking around the room, Kurenai speaks. How do you think he did that? Asked Kurenai, not getting a reply. She turns to see Anko gone with a sigh. She pays for her meal and leaves to go and find her friend. With Naruto appearing inside the Hokage office, Naruto sees Hiruzen and Jiraiya sitting and drinking sake, coughing to get their attention. The duo jump up in surprise and go into their defensive stances, only to stop when they see Naruto standing there. Ah, Naruto-kun, I gather you have come to finish of our talk from earlier. Asked the Hokage, making Naruto nod as he takes a sat across from him. Yes, Hokage Dono, I am here to ask for an invitation to the Chunin exams coming up soon, said Naruto, making Hiruzen and Jiraiya wonder about the Dono but forget it and smile at what he said. So you have reconsidered joining the village then? Very well, I will make sure you're invited to participate, said Hiruzen with a smile, happy that Naruto decided to stay after all. I'm sorry Hokage Dono, but I am not joining the village. I ask that my village be invited to the upcoming Chunin exams to repeat, said Naruto, shocking the two. Why your village? Stuttered Jiraiya, getting a nod from Naruto. Yes, I am the Nadaime Kurai Kage, leader of the village hidden in the darkness, said Naruto, making the duo look at him in shock, only able to do one thing, and that was faint.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like this video if you want some more What If video. Comment 3 hearts for more What If.